Well, Bennett Kessler filed a series of stories for this segment. Start off with, after 2 years of bureaucratic steps, the project known as Digital 395 now has the clearance to build a new broadband system in the Eastern Sierra. Now, according to Michael Ort of Praxis, the company constructing Digital 395, the National Telecommunications Information Administration, which provided $80 million in funds, gave the go-ahead for construction. Now, the state of California will provide nearly $20 million and had approved environmental work on the project last November. Now, in the past 2 years, Praxis and the California Broadband Cooperative, which will own and operate Digital 395, have worked on engineering, environmental studies, rights of way, and permits. Up to 46 different government agencies have been involved. The project involves 583 miles of fiber optic line installed along Highway 395. Now, Michael Ort said that the project will start on many fronts, with construction going on in different places at the same time. Ort said his crews will use local contractors and suppliers and will install communications buildings and conduit with connections to government buildings that will serve as anchors in the community. Ort says Praxis already has hundreds of miles of fiber optic cable and conduit on hand, and he said local people should see a lot of activity soon. Now, Ort said the primary concentration now will be in Mono County, where Praxis will try to build facilities before the start of the winter snow. Now, when the snow comes, crews will move to the desert. Work is now also scheduled to start in Barstow at the south end of the project. California Broadband Cooperative CEO Robert Volker said his nonprofit organization plans to offer high-speed internet service to 237 critical institutions in the Eastern Sierra, including schools, hospitals, libraries, public safety, and government buildings. He said once the network is in place next year, consumers and businesses should see immediate benefits through local service providers who will have greater broadband capacity and be able to expand. Well, right now, the town of Mammoth Lakes has lived with a slowdown of internet service due to a lack of broadband. The issue has gone before the Mammoth Lakes Town Council. Now, officials said local businesses, individuals, and tourists have been unable to get online at times, particularly on busy weekends. Broadband limits exist in all Inyo and Mono communities, which now wait for Digital 395 to relieve the online traffic jams. The project is slated for completion a year from now. Well, the outlook to keep June Mountain open for next winter seems bleak to most citizens, but many continue to look for a way. The Mono County Board of Supervisors scheduled a special meeting for tomorrow, at which they have scheduled discussion on June Mountain. Now, the special meeting is set for Tuesday, 10 a.m. at the June Lake Community Center. The agenda item calls for discussion regarding issues related to June Mountain closure, including but not limited to any financial and land use options that may exist to avoid closure. Now, the item will be led by the Keep June Mountain Open Coalition and Mono Community Services Director Scott Burns. Now, Burns said that the coalition includes local residents Connie Black, Patty Heinrich, Ralph Lockhart, Supervisor Vicki Bauer, and Supervisor-elect Tim Alpers. Now, this group has met with Mammoth Mountain CEO Rusty Gregory and the Forest Service in search of an answer of continued operation of June Mountain. Now, Burns said that a community meeting late last week in June Lake was well attended. He said there was discussion with community members about the recent meeting with Rusty Gregory and a suggestion to respond to him once more, pressing to keep June Mountain open. Burns said there was not a lot of support for another response to Rusty Gregory. He said citizens may try to find a different approach. Now, at Tuesday's special meeting, the Mono County supervisors will weigh in with some of their ideas. Some of the past suggestions have included allowing second homeowners to rent out their spaces to increase the bed base and transient occupancy tax, use part of the bed tax to market June Mountain, and consideration of rezoning the 88-acre rodeo grounds property in June Lake to help the marketability of this key piece of land. Now, Forest Service officials attended last week's meeting, and Burns said they are, quote, sincerely listening, end quote. The Forest Service has apparently now issued a letter of non-compliance to Mammoth Mountain for ending operation of June Mountain on Forest Service permit. Mammoth Mountain now has 180 days in which to come up with an operation plan. Well, a Los Angeles Times reporter made the trip to June Lake, where business owners were quoted as saying they don't think many will make the trip come winter with June Mountain closed. The Times quoted Don Morton, manager of June Lake Accommodations, as saying, quote, if the mountain closes, we are dead, end quote. Mammoth Mountain CEO Rusty Gregory made the clear announcement that the company did close June Mountain because of the annual $1.5 million in losses. The Times June Lake story, called Slippery Slopes, revealed a not surprising picture. The story quotes June Lake people as saying that their property values have dropped at least 10% since the announcement, and that some hotel workers are planning to leave town in November. Now, the LA Times story says, quote, June Lake is a throwback to ski towns of a quieter era, end quote. Rusty Gregory is quoted as saying that June Mountain has lost, quote, $500,000 to $2.5 million annually since Mammoth bought it in 1986, end quote. That would be bought it. Gregory told the Times that June Mountain must bring in about 150,000 skiers per year to make money. The numbers have flagged to around 45,000. Now, the need for more lodging rooms came up, and so did the failed Rodeo Grounds 900-unit condominium project. IntraWest gave up on the project in the midst of community dissent and the failing economy. The Times story reveals the town's suffering and points to no answers for this winter. And again, Bennett Kessler filed this report in a motion to object to the town of Mammoth Lakes' wish for a speedy bankruptcy. Mammoth Lakes land acquisition claims the town lacks any emergency, failed to consider the last offer made by MLLA, and failed to make a settlement offer or any payment to MLLA. Now, Mammoth owes MLLA $43 million and has begun to lay out its case against the town's attempt to enter bankruptcy. MLLA lawyers say that the town has ignored MLLA's 30-year payment plan offer and is, quote, trying to punish MLLA for winning, end quote, the first lawsuit. The court brief says municipalities are not supposed to have axes to grind. Lawyers allege that the town is seeking retribution, and that this is at the heart of the whole case. Now, MLLA points to the appellate court decision against Mammoth, in which the judges described town employees' attempts to get rid of the Hot Creek project in breach of the development agreement. Then the attorneys described an incident last fall. They say MLLA representatives inquired if the town could access nearly $4.4 million from the town's vehicle replacement fund to make an initial payment to MLLA. The brief says town staff thought the funds were restricted, found out they weren't, and then used the nearly $4.4 million to pre-fund legal fees for 2 law firms and a financial advisor, among other town costs. MLLA says, quote, bluntly put, the town played keep away from MLLA by giving large retainers to its law firms and financial advisors, end quote. Now, MLLA also claims that as a result of working with town staff to identify available money, the two sides, quote, reached consensus that the town had at least nearly $5 million per year in discretionary spending that could be used to pay installments on the judgment, end quote. Now, attorneys for MLLA and Mammoth will sit down in court-ordered mediation sessions. Those are scheduled for August 6th and 7th in Southern California. MLLA will file its objections to Mammoth bankruptcy August 24th. So far, no date has been set for Mammoth's bankruptcy eligibility hearing. We'll be back with more news.